Okay, so as mentioned previously, I just wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up on the video where I was with my kids and we did a little bit of a tie-dye experiment. It was the first time I ever did tie-dye, and it was the first time my kids ever did tie-dye. Now, if you want to watch that video, I will put a link somewhere up here on the screen, but what I really wanted to talk about were some of the ways that you might be able to save a little bit of cost if you're going to be doing tie-dye with your kids, or if you're like me, you're thinking about bringing it into the school setting, how you might save a little bit on the budget if you're going to be doing this in your class. Now, most of these, again, are going to be pretty obvious things, but it's always good to think about before you actually go ahead and do them. The first thing I want to talk about is buying the kits. Now, tie-dye specifically, you can go out and buy a number of different kits, and that way you'd save a lot of money. If you do watch that video back on what I just put out, you would see how I kind of breezed over the kits and said, no, we're not getting kits today. And most of that was because I was doing this for an art class and we weren't actually able to use kits. We had to do something from scratch, whatever we planned, and in my case, tie-dye, and we couldn't actually use kits. We had to pick up all the individual pieces and make our class lesson out of that. Now, a couple of different things about buying the kits. One is definitely the cost. You're going to save yourself quite a bit of money if you buy them by a kit and not buy everything individually. And you can do that through your local craft store like you will see in my video, but also if you want to go online, a spot like Amazon where you can definitely find and search for a number of different tie-dye kits that you could use for this kind of activity. The second part about buying kits, other than just being a little bit of a cost saver, is the convenience. If you're like me and you're thinking about doing this in a classroom, convenience around the logistics of setting up the kits, setting up some sort of an art lesson is huge. And even if you're doing this at home for a birthday party or just with your own kids, it's really convenient if you buy the kits because everything already comes in those little pre-mixed bottles and you just have to add water and shake them up and go, and you've got a nice package there with everything that you need. So logistically, kits tend to be the way to go. Beyond saving money on kits, you can also save money on your shirts. There are two requirements that you really need if you're going to be doing tie-dye, I believe: 100% cotton and white. Now, when we talk about white shirts, we don't need them to be just white. They can have a logo on them, and sometimes that actually turns out a little bit better. If there is some sort of a logo on the shirt, that would actually just help us out. And if you're going to be doing this in a school, that is something that you can reach out to the parents for. You just have to let them know that we would like white and 100% cotton, and they can send in any old shirts that they have, t-shirts preferably, because that just seems to work out a little bit better, especially if you're doing this with a class. But if those shirts happen to have a logo, again, that can be kind of cool. You can also reach out to the other teachers in your school. Lots of people are going to have just random shirts lying around that they'd be willing to donate for this kind of a project. Now, another thing is to consider is coupons. In my area, the craft store, which is Michael's, I believe that's a store that's mostly found in Canada, but at least where I live, Michael's is the bigger craft store that you have available to you. And oftentimes, Michael's has a lot of coupons, and tie-dye is one of those great things where you don't have to buy it the day before or the day of that you plan on using it. It's something that you can buy and store, and it will last a long time, and you can use it whenever you need to use it. So as a teacher or a parent, it's just a good idea to watch out for those coupons so you can purchase things like tie-dye. They're always going to be good to pull out and just a fun activity that you can have with your kids or with your class. Just another thing around logistics. If you watch in my video, you will see that when my daughter was doing the tie-dye and she was twisting the shirt around, she did actually expose the fold-out table. Now, we were outside and I wasn't really worried about that, and all I actually had down on the table were garbage bags. I didn't have them pinned down to the table in any way, so if you're going to use garbage bags or you're going to use any sort of plastic, make sure that you either tape it down or pin that down, because when you're doing a lot of the tie-dye patterns, it involves a lot of scrunching and twisting and different things, and not only does it expose your table that you might not want to get a lot of color on, it's just a little bit less advantageous when you're actually doing it because it kind of gets in the way, and it was a little bit of a pain, so eventually we got to just using the bare table. Another thing that you might want to consider, whether it's at a birthday party or at the school, whenever you're dealing with a large group of kids, is that the idea that when they're done actually with their shirts and they put all the color and they've still got the elastics on them, that it's best if you put them in plastic bags separately so that the shirts have a chance to absorb the color and it actually brightens up the colors quite a bit. Now, where that can become an issue is that you're putting each shirt into a separate bag. That might not be the best way to go about doing it. If I was doing this for a class, I'd probably actually take some saran wrap, shrink wrap, and just wrap up each shirt individually and put them all in a tote so that I can take the tote and take that home and actually wash the shirts, untie them when I need to do that after they sit for a number of hours. And also, that is one more thing that you do have to consider if you're doing this in a classroom, is that there is a little bit of extra work for you as the teacher. You're not going to be able to do everything right there in the classroom if you do it this method. If you're going to be doing tie-dye, there is some extra work to either take it home and wash it, or if you're lucky enough to have a washing machine at your school, to take them there and get them washed. But there is a little bit of extra work for you as the teacher that you're going to do outside of the classroom. So those were just a couple of things that I wanted to mention, and this was actually just meant to be a quick follow-up to the previous video that I did, just to give you an idea of some ways you might want to save money and a little bit on the logistics around doing tie-dye in the classroom. If you like this video or you like my last video, please hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to my channel, and I will try to put out more content where I talk about different things that you can do in the classroom with your kids, an idea of how I am becoming a better teacher as I go through my education program myself, and just look at all the things that I need to do to be better in life, because my ultimate goal is that this is what matters to me, what matters to Matt, and that comes down to being the best that I can be for my family, not just at my work life, but overall, and I believe I'm working towards that goal.